Hello, everybody. My name is Dan Skip Allen. My friends call me Skip. You know the whole story. I won't go into it again. I am the host of the Profiles After Show. A couple people asked to be on the show this week and had some things come up and could not be on. But I am happy because we got one of my favorites back again this week. I think it's 3 weeks in a row for my buddy Cole Boone. Introduce yourself, Cole.
Hi everyone, I'm Cole Boone, and yes, like Dan said, it was my third week in a row, and I'm looking forward to talking about Samuel L. Jackson because I think we'll have some different opinions on him because he has a wide array of movies, so this should be fun.
And my co-host on the Top 10 show, Mr. Dylan Esposito. Introduce yourself, Dylan.
How's it going, everyone? Look good to be back. Wanted to be back last week, but just got to make up for it this time.
And we're glad to have you back. All right, folks. Anybody out there watching? We are doing the Profiles After Show this week on Samuel L. Jackson. I am going to refrain from doing any cursing or of any kind on this show. You know the kind of language Mr. Jackson uses in his movies, so we don't need to do that on this show because this is a family-friendly show. All right, with that being said, we always like to start with our first blood. Oh, what is your first blood for Mr. Samuel L. Jackson?
Well, my first blood, I'm pretty sure this is my first blood because I saw this movie in the theaters in 1999, and that is Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. At that time, I really loved that movie because I loved Star Wars as a kid, and I was young for that age, so that movie just really clicked for me. Now, I mean, it's not the best movie in the world, but I'm not going to trash it because it did have such a big part of my childhood. So I do enjoy it for what it is, and but yeah, that's my first blood for Sam Jackson, and I don't really remember him at the time in it. He didn't really stand out to me, but yeah, so there it is.
Dylan?
My first blood, I was a big old dinosaur lover, so it has to be Jurassic Park. Him yelling at the screen, didn't say the magic word, please. It's just such a good role, and it was one of those where, as a little kid, don't really see. It's just like, oh yeah, that's a guy from Jurassic Park. And then
Yeah.
growing up, you're just like, oh my goodness, what have I been missing out on? And a lot of kids my age now, the 20-year-olds, most of us, we all probably started out right about there.
Yeah, I'm a little older than you guys, and this has been a ongoing thing. We all know I'm a little older than most of the profilers and the people on the Profiles After Show. So I have a movie that's a little bit older. That was my first blood, and it was a Spike Lee joint. Do the Right Thing was my first blood with where he played Mr. Senior Love, where he was a DJ, and he wasn't in the movie that often, but he had some pivotal roles in the Spike Lee joint, and it was fun to watch in the limited roles that he was in. Uh, so, with that being said, we're going to go on to Alicia and Scott's first blood, and same as Dylan, it was Jurassic Park for Alicia, and it was Jungle Fever for Scott. All right, now we're going to go into First Blood, Fast Five number 1, and Scott and Alicia's Fast Five, not number 1. What am I talking about? I'm messing up like crazy. Fast Five
Okay.
number 5, and it was Die Hard with a Vengeance. So, starting with Dylan this time. Dylan, do you have Die Hard with a Vengeance on your Fast Five?
I do, but I have it a little bit higher than them. I have it at number 3. Maybe it's because I'm a huge, huge Die Hard fan. No pun intended. But I absolutely love what John McTiernan did with the franchise. Granted, they've kind of fallen apart since, but that third one, it was a different. It was almost like a buddy cop, and you have the two very different sides. You got the crazy from Bruce Willis, and you got the more humanized and kind of brings it back down to earth in Sam Jackson.
Dylan? God almighty, I'm messing up left and right. Cole?
I don't have it in my Fast Five. It would probably be right on the outside. Die Hard with Vengeance is probably my second favorite in the franchise. I would prefer Die Hard over it, but I enjoy it. It's really fun. It's a lot of fun. I like what's his name as the villain? Jeremy Irons. He's great. Yeah, and I thought Sam Jackson and Bruce Willis really did have great chemistry, and I liked their back and forth banter they had. But it is a good movie. It just doesn't make my Fast Five today.
Yeah, I watched Die Hard with a Vengeance today, preparing for this episode of Profiles After Show, and I'll tell you what, I forgot how good a movie that was, and what great chemistry Sam Jackson and Bruce Willis have. That being said, I mean, you talk about 5 movies for Sam Jackson, and I just could not fit Die Hard with a Vengeance in my Fast Five, and like Cole probably, I think I would have put it at number 6 had I had 6 slots available. But what a good, fun action movie, and Jeremy Irons plays a great villain, like you said. So yeah, I don't have it in my Fast Five. Sorry, Alicia and Scott. All right, now we're gonna go to our right stuff. Alicia and Scott's right stuff. Both of them came from Pulp Fiction. So I'm just gonna go and read what Scott and Alicia said, because I have a feeling that all 3 of us on this panel have similar things or might have something similar. So I'm just going to read the whole thing of what Scott and Alicia basically were talking about on their episode of Profiles on Sam Jackson. Ezekiel 25:17. All right. The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of the evil men. Blessed is he who in the name of the charity and goodwill shepherds the work, the weak through the valley of darkness, for he is truly his brother's keeper, and the finest of the lost children. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon you. That is Ezekiel 25:17. And also, give me my wallet scene. I got down here the give me my wallet scene. That was a huge scene in the diner as well. So, that being said, Dylan, what is your right stuff for Sam Jackson?
Mine is even a little bit further than just the Ezekiel quote. It's the entire "Say What" scene. You just look at what he does in that scene, and it's for me, it's probably just that one scene is his best scene in any movie. Like I said, it's quoted by everyone. It even made an appearance in one of his other films, which it was on Scott and Alicia's Fast Five, which was Captain America: Winter Soldier with Headstone. You have the little quote from Ezekiel. It's a nice little tie-in. And like I said, just the entire scene for me, it's his best.
Oh.
Well, I probably would have taken either the Ezekiel 25:17 or the diner scene, but to just make it a little different, I'm gonna go with the scene in Django and Jane where Steven tells Candy that Django and Brunhilde know each other and might love each other. I like that scene because it just shows you that there's more to Steven than what he appears to be. He's a lot smarter, and I honestly wasn't expecting that when I first saw the movie. I didn't think Samuel L. Jackson's role was going to be that big, but he actually does play a pretty pivotal part in the movie. So, and that is really the turning point in the movie, in my opinion, when Candy finds out that Django is trying to get Brunhilde back. So I'm going to go with that for my race up because I just thought that was a really well acted scene, and it was surprising.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with both of yours. I mean, the Ezekiel scene is to me the most iconic scene of Samuel L. Jackson's career. I love some scenes in Coach Carter where he's telling the parents about trying to teach these kids more than just basketball, and then also I love the burger, the whole scene where, like, what's his face, John Travolta's telling him about the burger and stuff at the beginning of Pulp Fiction, you know. So there's so many Sam Jackson scenes you could choose from. The guy he's just such a quotable actor. You know, I looked up Sam Jackson quotes today, and it went on and on and on. Sam Jackson quotes. Well, the guy's got over 100 movies. He did over 38 movies or 36 movies in the 90s alone. So, but I'm just gonna go with what I read off of for Scott and Alicia because that's the iconic one. I'd be lying to myself if I didn't think that was the greatest scene in Sam Jackson and my favorite. So now we're going to go into Fast Five, number 4. I believe Scott and Alicia has the aforementioned Coach Carter, who he plays Ken Carter. And, oh, by the way, in Die Hard with a Vengeance, his character's name is Zeus. So in Coach Carter, he's playing Coach Ken Carter. And I have a feeling Cole might want to talk about this movie. Well, where does Coach Carter fall in your Fast Five?
I'm surprised to hear. I've never seen Coach Carter.
Whoa!
I know. I've heard good things about it. I just never gotten around to seeing it. And Dan knows how much I love like sports films, so it's one movie I really do have to check out because I've heard good things about it, and especially in the last week or so with the profile show and hearing some of you guys talk about it, how good it is. So I really do need to check it out, especially since it's on Netflix. So yeah, it won't be on my Fast Five.
Dylan, do you have Coach Carter on your Fast Five?
I don't. I have seen it, but the reason I don't have it is I just found it just like Die Hard fell for y'all. It's right there at number 6. It's trying to get into the top 5, but for me it just couldn't make it. But it is a terrific film.
Yeah, you guys definitely both. I mean, Cole, you definitely should watch it as an athlete and a huge sports movie fan and a huge sports fan. You should definitely watch it. It's a true story. I have Coach Carter at number 4 on my Fast Five. I watched it the other night preparing for this Profiles After show, and you know, having a man who's coaching an athletic team in an inner city and trying to stand for something more than just coaching sports and trying to teach athletes more than just sports. And you have the cameos. You have some really good cameos from like Octavia Spencer as one of the mothers, and you have Channing Tatum as one of the players, and a couple of the other players you have seen them in a lot of different movies. So kind of when you watch it, you get to see some of these other characters. But it reminds me of a close friend of mine, Coach John Zioli, who's the head basketball coach of the high school that I used to work at. And I coached with him, and I worked with the basketball program. And so Coach Carter really reminded me of him. And I mean, Sam Jackson really makes this character his own, and you could tell he really loved portraying this character because it's something he probably believes in. Some of the things that Coach Ken Carter was trying to teach these kids in the neighborhood, the tough neighborhood, and the Oakland, California area, like the San Francisco area. I think it's San Francisco, Oakland area. It could be L.A., but I could be wrong. I don't know. But yeah, I had a number 4 in my Fast Five. Um, so I had it identical to Scott and Alicia. All right, now we're going to go into some last details, some interesting trivia or anything like that that you guys might have. And I told Dylan earlier I had a whole page full, so I'm going to let you guys go first. You got anything interesting you want to say about Sam Jackson? Any stories you might have, Dylan?
One of them I found was pretty interesting. I don't remember Alicia and Scott saying it, but he was offered the role in Star Wars in Phantom Menace just from an interview that he did on a UK show, which I thought was pretty awesome. I wish I could get a job in Star Wars just for doing the interview.
That it?
Yes, yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Cole, you got anything you want to share? Any kind of anecdotes or trivia or anything?
I got a few things I looked up before the show. His Pulp Fiction diner scene with John Travolta. It was actually reenacted by Dark Horse Comics' mid-2000 issue of Star Wars Tales, and in it, his Mace Windu character talks about the Jedi Academy and current state or Senate politics with Yoda while having a meal on Coruscant. So I thought that was kind of funny that they paid homage to that. And also, he was briefly suspended in 1969 from Morehouse College after taking hostage several members of the Board of Trustees, including the father of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., during a protest of the failure of the university to have black trustees or black studies program. So, I mean, that was pretty crazy. He did a lot of interesting stuff before he actually got into acting. So that was one of them I found.
Yeah, I mean, Alicia and Scott said he didn't make it big till he was 46 years old. That's crazy that you become a famous actor and then you do that many roles over, I would guess, in the 90s. So he's in his 60s now, probably. So in 20-year span, the guy's done over 100 movies, or 25-year span. That's crazy. All right, well, like I said, I got a whole page of stuff here, so bear with me while I read all these stories and anecdotes and stuff for anybody that wants to learn them. When Tarantino wrote the role of Jules for Sam Jackson after seeing him in True Romance, he almost didn't get the role from his first audition. He had to audition again and brought a burger and a Coke with him the second time, and he got the role. Marvel bought Sam Jackson's likeness for Nick Fury so they could use his likeness as Nick Fury in the comic books. And then when they had Nick Fury in the movies, they went along and cast him as Nick Fury, seeing as how Nick Fury was his likeness in the comics. Well, why not just get the guy that we based Nick Fury off in the Ultimates comics off of? So, and then he has been in 6 Marvel films to date, and his very first one was Iron Man. He was in the post-credit scene of Iron Man, which we all know now as the famous, we need to talk about the Avengers Initiative, which to me is one of the iconic lines and characters of Sam Jackson. Then we got Sam Jackson has, we talked about this, over 100 films to his credit. Sam Jackson had a purple lightsaber in Star Wars as Mace Windu. That's a no-brainer. We all knew that. I think he's the only one with a purple lightsaber, though. I could be wrong about that, but I think he's the only one with a purple lightsaber. And then, he tries to have a golf career. I knew this. He's a huge golfer. That allowed him to kind of get away from his drug abuse and some of the things he was doing when he was younger. He got into golf, and he became a scratch golfer. This guy can hold his own with the best golfers of his age and whatnot. Of course, not Tiger Woods or anything like that, but he was a really good golfer. The Cannes Film Festival gave Sam a Best Supporting Actor award for Jungle Fever and it was the first and only time Cannon has ever done this, given a Best Supporting Actor. But they did it because they thought his performance in Jungle Fever was that good. So that's damn good praise, if you ask me. And of course, Die Hard 3 was supposed to be Lethal Weapon 4, and Lawrence Fishburne was supposed to be cast as Zeus, and when they changed it over to Die Hard 3 instead, they gave the role to Sam Jackson instead. So those are some trivia and anecdotes and so forth about Sam Jackson. With that being said, we're going to go into Fast Five number 3, and the aforementioned Nick Fury. Captain America, the Winter Soldier is Alicia and Scott's Fast Five number 3. Dylan, do you have Captain America, the Winter Soldier? I'm gonna say on this, any role with Nick Fury in it is acceptable, in my opinion. So, do you have anything with Nick Fury in it in your Fast Five?
I don't. Now, as a character, yes, he would absolutely be up there. But I don't think, in my opinion, other than maybe the Avengers, he's not in there long enough to be really fleshed out. He did get fleshed out. I did, in Captain America: Winter Soldier, where you got to hear about his past and hear about the story he tells Cap and everything. But for me, compared to some of these other movies that I have on list, it just couldn't make it for me.
All right. Cole, do you have anything with Nick Fury in your Fast Five?
I do. I did put Captain America: The Winter Soldier in my Fast Five, also at number 3, like Alicia and Scott. Personally, this is probably the best MCU movie, like standalone one they've made, besides like the Avengers. I just think it's a great movie. It's a great spy thriller, basically. It doesn't really feel like a superhero movie, kind of like how The Dark Knight felt like more like a crime drama than a superhero movie. This one feels more like a spy thriller, and I just really like the development of Captain America in this movie. I like how it's more focused on the security of our nation more so this time around. And I think Nick Fury's role in it is very good. I thought he did play a more pivotal role this time around than he has in previous movies. And I liked how, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, I'm just, quick spoiler. They show in the trailers that he dies. He obviously doesn't die because he's in Age of Ultron 2, but I liked how he goes into hiding at the end and he fakes his death so that the enemies won't know that he is still alive. And I just liked that aspect of it, that he is human and he's also important in this universe too. So yeah, it's gonna come in at number 3 for me. It's a very, very good movie. One of my favorites from last year. So yeah, check it out if you haven't yet.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with a lot of what Cole said. I mean, Sam Jackson, it was a huge deal when Sam Jackson, I believe, signed a 10-picture deal for $100 million to be Nick Fury in like 10 movies. And so you knew he was going to be a huge part of the Marvel cinematic universe. And what I like is they're using him in the proper ways. The Captain America Winter Soldier movie was a very big movie for him. He was meant to be a big part of that movie, more or less like a 3 Days of the Condor type movie, a real great spy thriller. But that being said, I do not have any of Nick Fury's movies in my Fast Five. Just like Dylan, I just thought there was some other movies that I had to put in there over any of his Nick Fury movies. But I absolutely love him playing Nick Fury. Like I said, the end of Iron Man, the post-credit scene of Iron Man is one of my favorites. I just cannot say enough how much I love that scene. It really kicks off the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. All right, so now we're going to go to, do you have any honorable mentions that are not in your Fast Five that you're like, oh, I wish I would have put that in there? but you couldn't put in your Fast Five because you only get 5. And with Sam Jackson, you got over 100 movies, so it's very, very, very difficult to make a Fast Five list of Sam Jackson movies. So this time we're going to go with Cole. You got any honorable mentions?
Yeah, I have a few. I have Die Hard with Vengeance. That would probably be like my number 6, like I said earlier. Another good one where he plays like a really bad like villain type of role is Lakeview Terrace, where he's the cop and he's like antagonizing that family. I've only seen it once and it was quite a while ago, but I just remember his performance as a real standout in that. Another one that I don't think a lot of people know about is called Cleaner. That's him, I believe, him and Eva Mendes, and it's about a movie where, it's about he's like he cleans up after crime scenes, and I guess like in a way one of them that he goes to that the police hadn't gone to yet, so he cleaned up the crime scene before the police found out about it. So he's all implicated in it, and he's trying to figure out who actually did it. And it's a really interesting movie. So I would recommend that if you haven't seen it. And my last one is The Other Guys. It's just a brief. He's only in at the beginning, but he really does steal the show with Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Those scenes with him and The Rock in it are just so great. And I'll end up watching them on YouTube sometimes when I need a good laugh. So yeah, those are some of my honorable mentions that didn't make my Fast Five.
Yeah, he was in the movie for 10 minutes, The Other Guys. 10 minutes
Yeah.
The Rock were in the movie, and they almost steal the entire movie. I mean, Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg are fantastic, but when you get to start that movie off with those guys, you're like, this is hilarious. What else can they do? And it almost doesn't hold up to that 10 minutes that they were in that movie together. That's good that you put that in there. Dylan, what do you got for your honorable mentions?
Oh, well, I got obviously Coach Carter and Captain America / The Avengers. Both of those I took off my list for 2 different ones. But then, I mean, his great voice as Frozone in The Incredibles. I mean, you got a movie that came out this year that shocked me for just how good it was Kingsman. Just playing off of, Russell Simmons and that particular character, and just really, really being a well-developed villain. You kind of understood his methods. He convinced all these other people to do it. And for me, that was one of my definitely close honorable mentions.
Valentine, yeah, he was fantastic in the Kingsman, the Secret Service. I think that movie doesn't stand up as well as it does if he doesn't play such a great villain. It's such a, a takeoff on all these James Bond villains where they all have like these like special tics, an eye with a big scar down it, or some crazy accent. And of course, he has a lisp, and he's got the hats, and he's always wearing a different hat and a different shirt and all that stuff. So it's kind of neat that they got that as a villain and made him an iconic villain. I have quite a few honorable mentions. Let's see here. Let me start. Time to Kill. Carl E. Haley. Oh wow. The father gets revenge for these men raping and almost killing his daughter in A Time to Kill. Classic Grisham novel. Shaft, which now I hear there's talk about another Shaft remake. He really made Shaft his own in that movie. Django and Jane, Steven, obviously. The Incredibles, Frozone. Do the Right Thing, like I said earlier, was my First Blood. Mr. Senior, and then I put Iron Man. Black Snake Moan, Star Wars. He plays Mace Windu. Kingsman, I had that. So I had Valentine, Wasteman. So I had all those Mace Windu and so forth on mine as well. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to go to Fast Five number 2. Alicia and Scott have The Negotiator. Dylan, do you have The Negotiator on your Fast Five?
I do, and I have it at the same spot as Scott and Alicia. For me, Just seeing him basically, Kevin Spacey comes into it, and just a terrific job by him. And he's one of those where, most negotiators, they know exactly how to talk to somebody, but how do you negotiate with a negotiator? And for me, that was just seeing that play back and forth between them two, and almost like cat and mouse type game. For me, just was brilliant.
Cole, do you have the Negotiator on your Fast Five?
I do have it in my Fast Five. I put it at number five, actually. I think The Negotiator is a really great movie that I think more people should watch. And I'm hoping that with them talking about it on the profile show and talking to director F. Gary Gray, that more people will check it out. But I haven't seen it in quite a while, but from what I can remember, it was a really like intense movie, and you didn't know where it was really gonna go, like especially at the end. And I just really liked that the play, the back and forth between Kevin Spacey and Samuel Jackson. And I thought it was really interesting to see that F. Gary Gray was only like 27, and those guys were really teaching him during the filming of the movie. So I think it's a really great movie. It's intense. You're on the edge of your seat, and I think it's one of those, like Scott Leach says, strong leading man performances by Jackson that I would love to see more of. So yeah, it's gonna come at number five.
Actually, Cole, you almost took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say the exact same things that you were saying. I also have the Negotiator at number five. I watched it the other night preparing for the show, and Danny Roman really is a strong character portrayed by Sam Jackson. And without that yin and that yang, Chris Sabian's Kevin Spacey, you don't have the performance, in my opinion, that Sam Jackson gives. And of course, you don't know where this movie is headed until the end of the movie, and they find out what's going on. That's what's great about a really good thriller kind of like this, where it's a mystery and it's a thriller all involved in one, because you're dealing with hostage negotiators and police and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, F. Gary Gray really captured what I would have wanted out of a movie with those performances from a lot of great character actors in that movie as well. One of the hostages, I can't think of the guy's name right now. I always forget the guy's name, but he had died very shortly after that movie was filmed. One of the better character actors of the time. Yeah, I had it at number five as well on my list. All right, so now we're going to go to movies that you have on your Fast Five that Alicia and Scott do not have on their Fast Five. And this time we're going to start with Cole. Movies you have on your Fast Five, Cole, that Alicia and Scott do not have on their Fast Five.
Okay, so at Fast Five number four for me, I put Kingsman: The Secret Service. It's one of my favorite movies this year. I've seen it like 2 or 3 times already, and I just can't get enough of it. I just think it's such a fun movie that it doesn't take itself too seriously, but in a way it does have a great story, and I really liked Samuel Jackson's villain as performance as Valentine, just because when you watch the trailers, it just looks like it's gonna be so over the top, and it probably won't work. But when you watch it, the way this movie is, it fits perfectly. And I just thought that his back and forth between him and Colin Firth was really great, especially the scene where they're eating McDonald's in his mansion. I love that scene. That's really good. And it's just, yeah, it's a really fun movie. That's why I put it in my Fast Five, and it's really memorable to me. And my Fast Five number 2 is going to be Django and Jane. I'm actually surprised it didn't make Scott and Alicia's Fast Five, but I can see how they wanted to like mix it up some. But it's a great movie. It's probably my second favorite Tarantino film. I loved all the performances, and I was really, like I said earlier, I was really surprised by Samuel L. Jackson's performance, because he had a lot more to him than you would think, and he was really the one that was working behind the scenes and doing a lot for Candy. And I just thought that, especially at the very end where he's gonna sell Django, and but Django comes back against him, and it's just it just shows you that Sam Jackson still got it. He can deliver a great performance. So yeah, it's gonna come in at number 2 for me. Those are the only ones that made my Fast Five that didn't make Scott and Alicia's.
All right, Dylan, do you have any movies in your Fast Five that Scott and Alicia don't have in theirs?
I do. At number 5, I have Unbreakable. For me, it was, before all this, the comic book craze and everything, and it was back when M. Night Shyamalan wasn't doing some of these movies, just coming off of The Sixth Sense, before Signs, and it was just, for me, it almost a lot like The Negotiator with this yin and yang kind of thing, like you had mentioned, and the play between him and Bruce Willis, and the final, reveal at the end where, he's, spoiler alert, he's been doing all of these things that have, caused, or that you can see his old, like, master plan, I guess, in a way. And so that's why it made it for me. I love, the character he played, Elisha Price, and that's why it made my number 5. And then coming in at number 4, a film you had briefly mentioned, your honorable mentions, is A Time to Kill. It's a very hard movie to watch, given the premise that you had talked about, where he basically comes with vengeance over these men that had raped his daughter, his 10-year-old daughter, and like I said, it's a very hard movie to watch, but Sam Jackson, for me, makes that movie, hands down, and it's one of his best performances, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, what a great cast in A Time to Kill. I absolutely, Carly Haley is one of his best roles. I mean, that's why thinking about it, you think we did De Niro and Tom Cruise and all these guys, but Sam Jackson is one of the toughest ones to do because he has so many great performances. He rarely mails it in. You can't say that. Morgan Freeman, he mails it in a lot of the times. Or Al Pacino, or these guys sometimes will mail it in lately. Sam Jackson doesn't mail it in. Prime example, Scott Cole, you just said, Valentine. This guy's been acting in over 100 movies, and he still brings it every single time. And he's going to be in The Hateful Eight. And come Christmas, you're going to have another great performance by Sam Jackson. So I also have Mr. Glass, Elijah Price, in my Fast Five at number 2. And I have Changing Lanes. He plays a character named Doyle Gibson. And I'll tell you what, you want to talk about a cat and mouse game between two people, Ben Affleck and Sam Jackson. What a great cat and mouse game. All because Ben Affleck ran him off the road and cost him 20 minutes so he couldn't get to the courthouse, but then it cost him 20 or 30 minutes because he ended up losing his file folder that needed to get this document to the court so he could take over this this whole retirement thing of this guy that was dying. So, but then we get the whole movie is in reverse. Ben Affleck learns that what Sam Jackson was going through, Doyle Gibson was going through in this movie, was the real thing that he needed to be helping him instead of doing what he was doing, and he felt like he was selfish. And Sam Jackson had a comeuppance in the movie. He got to see his children. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, because the whole movie is about him trying to get his kids back, trying to get the wife and the kids into this new house that he took out a loan for and stuff. A real family man, a real man all of us can relate to, Doyle Gibson. So I have that at number 3 on my Fast Five. A buddy of mine, Steve Zissou, otherwise known as Justin Bass, he had said, "Hey, anybody watch Changing Lanes?" and he gave me a little bit of, okay, I need to go check that movie out. And so today, Unbreakable and Changing Lanes, I watched both of them preparing for this after show. And I'm glad I did because they both made my Fast Five. And I didn't have a Fast Five prepared. I didn't know what my Fast Five was going to be until today, until I wrote my notes up. So with that being said, I think I have a feeling that everybody's got the same Fast Five #1. So I'm just gonna go. We'll go down the list of starting with Dylan. Everybody say what you feel like saying about. I'm just guessing that your #1 is Pulp Fiction. Dylan.
Yes, absolutely.
Jules is a great character.
Yes, and for me, it's his best performance. You go back and forth between whether it's Tarantino's best movie, but that's only because Tarantino doesn't put out any bad movies. And yeah, and just the play between, him and John Travolta, between Jules and Vincent, and it doesn't matter what the scene is, in the car, shooting Marvin, the say what scene, in the diner, and he just knocks it out of the park every single scene. And it's hard to say that for any actor can knock it out of the park and just be so dang good at that. It's hard to say any actor in any movie, other than maybe Daniel Day-Lewis, than what he does in Pulp Fiction.
No, I definitely agree. Cole, am I off base in saying you have Jules Winfield as your #1 as well, Pulp Fiction?
You're not. It is my #1 in my Fast Five as well. Pulp Fiction is one of the best movies ever made. It's in my top 15 favorite movies I've ever seen. It's just so great. All the dialogue is perfection, and Samuel Jackson. The thing that makes him so great is that he can take Tarantino's dialogue and make it his own. He's so in tune with it, and I just love Jules Winfield. It's one of the best movie characters I've ever seen on screen. He's really intimidating, but he's got a heart, and that's the funny part about it. He's like a really righteous man and spiritual man. And I love that because he's ruthless too. He's one of the more fascinating characters I've ever seen on screen. So yeah, I love Pulp Fiction. I've seen it a ton of times. I don't know how many times, but it's his performance really that makes me want to come back and watch it again and again.
Yeah, wow. I mean, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, I've watched it so many times, and preparing, like I said, I'm kind of like a broken record today, but preparing for today's Profiles After Show, I have it right here on my table, and I didn't have a chance to watch it. So I kind of felt bad about that, but I only have so much time. I only have so much time in the day to watch. So I wanted to watch some roles that I haven't seen in a while of his, and then just absolutely. I mean, probably. I mean, if you go to AFIs, and I didn't do this, and I wish I did, I bet I'd be willing to bet that Jules Winfield's on the AFI's 100 greatest characters of all time, movie characters of all time. And if somebody wants to look it up and post a comment to where Jules Winfield is on that list, I'd be shocked if Jules Winfield is not on the 100 greatest characters of all time list, because it's such an iconic character. I mean, Sam Jackson just knocks it out of the park, and it was the character that launched him into the iconic actor that he is today. And so many of his other roles are so similar to that. I think part of it is he's so good with dialogue. Sam Jackson's so good with dialogue, like Cole said. And it doesn't matter what movie, you cannot give him enough dialogue to where he can't read it and read it like he's a professional. And that's what makes Sam Jackson such a great actor. You could give him the craziest dialogue in the world, and they do. Quentin Tarantino does in Pulp Fiction, and he knocks it out of the park. he absolutely kills the dialogue, no pun intended, since he's playing an assassin in the movie. But absolutely love that movie, love that performance, and I was love that you guys joined me tonight on this Sam Jackson Profiles After Show. Cole, once again, where can you be found?
You can find me on Twitter at CTBoone57. You can find me on Facebook and YouTube at Coleboone. And for my fans out there that know and love me, you can find me on Foxcatcher Farms doing what I do best, which is wrestling.
That's an in-joke for the people that are friends with Cole on social media. Dylan, where can you be found?
I can be found at DylanE55 on Twitter, Dylan.Esposito1 on Facebook. I run the box office breakdown page, the top 10 page. I'm an admin of Schmoville, so it's pretty hard to miss me on any of those.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Dylan is all over the place. You can catch me with Dylan on the Top 10 After Show. You can catch me under my name, Dan Skip Allen, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. I also do another show I haven't done in a few weeks. We're starting a new phase of the Best Damn Movie Show. You're going to see some new, more professional videos from my co-host Vinny LaSpada and myself. And I'm the same way. I do a movie poll on Schmoville. I'm all over social media, so I'm very hard to miss. So thank you all. Right now we don't know what the next Profiles After Show is going to be, but when we do, we'll post a video and we'll have some more very entertaining and knowledgeable guests like these two gentlemen right here. So good night, everyone. Hopefully everybody enjoyed. Goodbye.